One. Just tell me if someone pops on. Because I doubt we'll keep this as a live stream. You know what I mean? We'll delete it once it's over. For anyone who does join, we were supposed to be live streaming, what, 20 minutes ago?
20 minutes ago.
And we did not. Because
We have someone?
our resident tech guy isn't here with us, and we're not very good without him. We need him back. But if you want to zoom in over here, and you can at least see what I'm working on. So we've got that I'm working on John. If you guys follow my Instagram, you've seen a lot of John's tattoos over the years. But it's like it's all. I didn't start this sleeve. It's like an 8-bit, all kind of Nintendo stuff. So the stuff at the bottom was already done. I've gone through and tried to like rework some of it. We've got like a Nintendo Power Glove, and this stuff down here I've been working on. Kind of a cover up in progress up here. But what we're doing is, at this point, we're just kind of like trying to fill in gaps. So we're gonna do this, the blue turtle shell from Mario Kart, and do this kind of Mario Kart theme on his inner arm. So I'm gonna start in the background and work my way forward, which is the way that I like to do it.
Hello, Paul. He says, "What's up, Jake?" He's live from 5 Points Tattoo in Lafayette, Indiana.
Yeah. I know he's Paul's on several of our live streams. I know 5 Points Tattoo. I mean through him talking about it. How's it going, Paul? So yeah, we're like I was saying, we meant to be live streaming with our multicam setup and all of our fancy stuff, but instead Allie's gonna just get a few minutes here with her phone, just so we do something, since we all spent the time to, or since she spent the time to come up and try to set up the live stream. So we'll get a little something going here. But yeah, so my goal today is I'm gonna try to color all of this and lay in. I started drawing some more kind of Mario Kart stuff, like some of the roads. We're gonna do a finish line up in there. I think I'm gonna fill the rest of it with Mario Kart, and we're just gonna kind of surround this grenade that was already here. He has a handful of existing tattoos, so this one's kind of, I'm trying to piece it together and make it as cohesive as I can, which is working. I mean, when you look at it kind of at a glance already, it looks like it was all kind of planned together. It's just trying to make sure that I'm allowing for the existing tattoos around it, like this dark hand grenade. I'll have to do some lighter kind of stuff off of it. I'd originally thought about, because we have so many little like explosions and flames and things like that, and like in the lower part, I thought about doing something like that behind the grenade, but if I had done that, it would have used so much of this space. I was already kind of limited on the space that I had. It would use so much of this space that I wouldn't have been able to do all this. So this, obviously, I did a few months back. Did this last time we worked, but yeah, so we're gonna try to get all that done today. I'd like to get all this colored and all this down here laid out and gray washed, and see where we go from there. We had a little bit of a late start, actually, trying to get that other live stream to go.
Leslie says, "Love all your work and informative information. Thanks for being awesome."
Thanks, Leslie. Where's Leslie from?
She did not say.
Oh, well, let us know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dr. K says, "Using the Newman 4 today. If so, what tunage? Voltage?
Voltage, yeah. No, I'm using the Scorpion by Ink Machines, because when we live stream, the Numa picks whatever pitch the Numa runs at is so loud in a live stream that you can barely hear. It sounds like a coil machine running against the microphone. So I just can't use it in these live streams, unfortunately. But if I were using Numa for this, I would use the 40% cam for solid color like this, and I'd run it around 6 volts, 6.5 tops, depending on the person and all that. Tell you one thing, this I'm using some of these newer, using some of the raw pigments right now that a friend Lauren sent me. She does the Tattoo Weekly with us in the morning, on Monday mornings, and they're so like funny about them. You can show a little bit of the, like I'm trying to use some of these blues and like mix them down with whites, but they're so intense I can't get the white to mix it back enough. So I'm gonna find something else to mix back. Like, I swear I keep like running it in the white and you see how deep it still is. So I'm gonna try something a little bit lighter.
Daniel just asked, what ink are you using?
These are, it's a combination, but I've been using these guys, Raw Pigments, a lot lately. They sent me some. I really like everything that they've sent me so far. I love their, what is it, their whitewash series. Let me see, I've used most of them up. Yeah, these whitewash series, you can see how much ink ends up at the bottom. I mean, you'll have to shake them up well, but they're more, it's like gray wash with white in it. I did a couple of episodes on this, about 3 minutes to better tattooing a while back, and I was using Empires at the time, but Raw has more white. It's like kind of a hybrid. It's almost an opaque gray, but not quite. So when I use it, I like fill it in like I'm filling in an opaque gray, rather than like washing it in like I would with a traditional gray wash. And I really like them. I like their whitewashes much more than any of the other ones that I've tried. I like them better than Eternals. I think I've only tried Eternal and yeah, the Empires. I like these too. There's not as much white in these as there is in the Raw. But yeah, they've been good. They're newer. They are. Yeah, I may be making some of this up, but I think that the person that started Raw is like a dry pigment manufacturer or importer, a dry pigment supplier. So they've already been in the ink business for a long time. Like they sold the dry pigments to Eternal and to Fusion and all that, and now they've just kind of gotten into it on their own, and they're like actually producing tattoo inks now rather than just selling the dry pigments as a wholesaler or as a, whatever you call that. But yeah, so our friend Lauren Gregory works with them, and she sent me these, and I really like them so far.
Hello, Chase from Skin City Ink in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, nice. Memphis, Tennessee, that's where I am. Where's Skin City Ink?
I do not know.
Chase, where's Skin City? What's it near? Is that the one that's in Midtown over here, kind of close to Zinnies East? Over by Zinnies? Does that
You're
sound
asking
right?
the wrong person. I may live here, but I don't know where much of anything is.
John, do you know what I'm talking about? There's a tattoo shop that I've passed by. I think maybe it's called Skin City. Maybe Chase will let us know. If so, you're just like 5 minutes from me. Madison? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I know where it is. I've passed by it before.
Yeah, he's just around the corner.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, we're neighbors. Yeah. So yeah, on these, back to the tattooing. I just kind of I tend to work background to foreground, and so I'm gonna start with everything kind of in cooler blue tones in the background, so it's more atmospheric, and also it'll kind of run into some of this existing stuff that he has. And then as it comes forward, I'll make it more intense and more whatever the true color kind of is. This will be one of those like really intense blue turtle shells from the game, and so I'll transition from these like really milky kind of muted blues, gray blues, into some more intense kind of greens, deeper greens, things like that, and then into the foreground blues, which will be like a royal kind of like a real royal blue. But normally I'll start like in the far distant to get like some atmosphere, and I'll start with like, here you can show right here if you want to see what I'm kind of doing. Like this is already kind of a light blue. I'll whiten it out, and then I'll touch it in gray too, until I find something that's like really soft and muted. Because one mistake I think a lot of people make, and I made it for years, is trying to use really intense like bright pigment all the time, in which case nothing looks bright. But if a lot of it is muted, and you only use bright, intense color in like the star of your composition in the foreground elements, then they look super rich and bright. But if I were to do like a crazy bright blue back here, and then a crazy bright green, and then this is my focal point and crazy bright blue, nothing will look bright. They'd all be screaming at you, like they're all kind of like competing for attention. So that's why I'm kind of like washing this stuff in back here, a little lighter and with a little gray in it. And this will actually also eventually pull over onto his chest. So there's a cover up also on his chest. John's indecisive. We're covering everything up. He just made bad decisions as a young person.
Young military
Yeah. Luckily, I didn't do any of that. And all my tattoos are awesome.
Yeah.
Totally didn't have any of those issues.
So yeah, a lot of times, especially in some of these sensitive areas, I'll kind of scrub this stuff in. I won't try to overwork it. You can tell it gets irritated a little bit quickly, and then as I come forward, I'll start to introduce the actual local colors, like these greens, a little bit more. Probably still going in the gray. Oh, you're showing that. You're not showing
No,
these.
I'm not. I can come over here and show you.
Yeah.
the
So yeah, so I'm like, I'm kind of going around from these, from these blues that I was already using. Like this is where I was already kind of in, and then I started to kind of bump into some of this like a deep kind of forest green, and I'll just kind of work back and forth until I start to. I'm more concerned about the value than I am the color, but maybe something about like that. Let's see. Maybe something about like that. Let's see. Let's see what that looks like as we come forward just a little bit more into some of these. Yeah, see, it's just a little bit greener, a little bit deeper, and I'm laying it right over these heel grays anyway, so it'll take on the value of that once it settles in. And if anyone has any suggestions on how I can make it better, we can just collaborate on this tattoo.
Spencer said, "Hell yeah, Nintendo."
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I really like the way this, I mean, this, like, literally this piece kind of came together. We did this in the last session, and I knew we had to fill this little area, and so I kind of whipped this up a little bit on the fly just to see how it would fit. And when he walked in today, I was, like, super stoked on it. I love, like, how this sits right on his bicep, how it kind of, like, the shape of it. Then I'll kind of have the, you know, this kind of wind bar, not wind bar, but whatever you want to call this, kind of swooping out of the front of it, and the road sweeping off this way. I want to do a finish line. I've got this space back here. I'd like to, like, do more of this distance stuff and have a finish line back there somewhere. But I haven't thought that out yet. I'll draw that in. I'd normally do better drawing that stuff in on the fly rather than trying to plan for it, to be honest. I see it better whenever the person's actually here. And a lot of times when I'm working off the photographs on my iPad, I'm like, I don't know, I don't see it as well. Or I'll think it's more space or less space than it actually is. But when they're here, it's so much easier. And it allows me to procrastinate, which is important. All right, so now I'm gonna start to go a little bit more towards like these straight grays and greens. And I'm using the grays. Another option would be to go from this green to the red since they're complements. And that would also neutralize it, but I'm trying to go more like actual gray back there in the background. And as I get into the foreground, I'll start to mix the complementary color probably a little bit more. All right, so now we're getting so this one's a little more green than that even. Does anyone else have anything to say? What's anyone working on today? What's the Memphis guy's name? Chase. Chase, what are you working on today?
He did say Midtown, and you're close.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just right. I mean, I'm in Midtown too, so I'm right over on, it's not a you would never know where my shop is because there's no sign or anything, but,
You never know this tattoo.
you never know it's a tattoo shop. It's a secret. But yeah, we're over. Chase, if you know where Rail Garden is, I can like hit Rail Garden with a rock. But I should swing by. I've seen that Skin City before. I should swing in there sometime. I see so many tattoo shops around now, and I never stopped to go in them. I'm amazed at how many have like, popped up in this city. It's still nothing like a lot of other towns that we visit, but it's amazing how many shops have popped up in the last several years. How old is Skin City? Is he still on?
Yep, he just said, yeah, we sell tattoo supplies.
Oh, okay. Still tattoo supplies. That's interesting. Like to the public or to online or?
I don't know.
He'll have to
I look
Expound
forward
on that.
to hearing more about this.
Yeah. What about what about anyone else? Anyone working on anything cool today or this week? This is my last tattoo of the week. I fly out tomorrow morning to Virginia to get tattooed by my buddy Andy Chambers, one of the best in the biz. I wish I could watch him tattoo me. He's tattooing my back. But at the end of 6 or 8 hours, I do love to see what he did on me.
He said two artists, but I'm also an artist.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, I'll have to swing in there. I've passed it. I used to play wiffle ball right next door to you there, Chase, when the old Zinnies East was there, where Frida? Is that what it's called, the Mexican place?
Frida's.
Come on, Allie, pay attention whenever you're driving around. You've lived here for how long?
3 years. I've only been here 3 years. I'm
How
moving
do you
the
not
country.
see the Frida's place? It's like massive.
Because I probably can't eat there.
Oh, well. It used to be Zinnies East, and they had a wiffle ball league there, and I've spent like 10 years playing that wiffle ball league.
Nice.
Yeah. You remember that league, John? I think it still goes on. It's actually over at Minglewood Hall now, I think.
I had no idea there was a football.
Oh, man. It's competitive. It gets serious. I was below average. I never played baseball growing up. So, yeah, hidden dingers. I never played baseball growing up, so I didn't like wiffle ball. Man, my timing wasn't good for wiffle ball.
Not like wiffle ball from a tee stand.
No,
right?
not
They-
t-ball.
okay.
Wiffle ball. Like it's crazy, man. People that can pitch wiffle balls, it's like they'll make you look like a fool. They can throw curveballs that like look like they're gonna be 10 feet in front of you, and they hit you behind the ear. It's crazy. Surely there's some wiffle ball people watching this live stream.
I'm sure there are.
I'm sure it's that popular.
Well, if you're ever really bored on a Sunday, they do them on Sundays. You go to Minglewood and watch a little wiffle ball. It's also a fun spectator sport because it's like great for heckling. It's a drinking game. Everybody's a smack talker.
Nice.
For the first like 3 or 4 seasons I was there, I got the nickname the Mannequin because I never swung at anything because I was so bad at hitting the ball. So they called me the Mannequin. They're like, and I'd come up and they would just be hassling me like, he won't swing. Throw it through the hole, he won't swing. But yeah, so back to tattooing. I'm going to get tattooed by Andy Chambers. If you guys don't follow Andy on Instagram, look him up. It's ANDE Chambers because he's difficult like that. But he's one of my favorite artists, and he's doing my whole back, and it's so good. We're probably 5 sittings in on it.
Nice.
And every time I go there, I get back-to-back days. So I'm flying in tomorrow. I'm getting tattooed. What's tomorrow? Thursday. I'm getting tattooed Friday and Saturday.
Fun.
Yeah. I
Very fun.
think he's gonna be tattooing my butt.
Oh, that'll be a fun time.
Yeah, it's a fun flight home. I forgot I had this like kind of cover up in here. I'm gonna kind of like darken that, just make that more of a shape that sits up against this other stuff. More cover-ups.
Gotta finish my back at some point.
Yeah, in your back. So what's anyone, do you want to say what they're working on or no?
No, no one said anything about what they're working on.
Come on now. I don't want to do all the talking. Alright. Point over here again for a second. Does anyone use these little guys? These little like foamy things? What are they called? You've ordered them. I forget the name right now.
Yeah.
They're cool though. I like them. Check this out. So you just like, no matter how inked up your needles get, if you run them in this thing for a second, they're like shiny clean again. I've gotten so spoiled. I know the last thing anyone needs is more crap to buy for their setup, but I love those things. Dip cap. That's what it's called. Dip cap.
Yeah.
My buddy
That's right.
Million told me I could just use makeup sponges, so I bought a bunch of makeup sponges. I don't like them as much. They're not as coarse or something as this one. This thing's like
No,
super
makeup
coarse.
sponges are good for putting makeup on.
Right. They're not as good, I don't think, for this. You could use them, I guess. They're like they're real inexpensive, and you can buy them at whatever Walgreens. But
You can buy them anywhere, just about anywhere that sells makeup.
yeah. So, but yeah, I like these better. It's worth it to me to stick with these. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna change over to this this 11 round shader, or loose 11. I'm gonna go with some straight. So now, because I'm gonna start moving into some of the foreground trees, I want to create some separation. I'm gonna go from my deep green. I'm just gonna bump it into red.
Helena said she's working on covering a big Confederate flag that a girl had on her thigh.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing a full thigh piece.
Oh, wow.
Just did second session on her over the weekend.
Nice, man.
I want to know what she's covering up that.
Yeah, what is
are
it
you-
gonna be?
Yeah, what are you using to cover it?
It's not a Gadsden flag.
A what?
Is she depends on if she covering it up with another flag or something completely different.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
the cover
hopefully
up?
Yeah, what is the cover up? I do liking. I mean, not with a.
The flag is a lot of dark blue and red.
Yeah, should be, but you know, sometimes those things end up like a lot of rebel flag tattoos I see are really faded out. Could always be.
Could have been an angry tattoo and really got it in there.
Yeah, it could have been.
Depends on who tattooed it.
Yeah. So you can.
Rattlesnake and a dream catcher in roses.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
And I've been into tattooing snakes lately. I don't know why. I never tattooed snakes. Now I'm doing several pieces of snakes. And I've enjoyed it. I've been drawing more snakes too. I just did a pretty cool, I did this, I taught a workshop in North Carolina last week, and I did a drawing for the workshop, like as an example. And I did like a snake biting an oni, and an oni biting the snake. And I was like, man, as soon as I drew it, I was like, I need to like turn this into a back piece and sell it. Super cool.
Do it. She
Yeah.
said the old tattoo is really faded and blown, so it's fairly easy.
Good, good. So you can see just like moving this, like moving forward from that, from the green gray, even though I'm gonna scrub that in, to the green mixed with the red, how much more kind of intense it is, because I went with two deeper, intense colors, and so it looks more like a rich shadow, and it'll stand in front of that one. Then I'll push that even further when I get up here to the immediate foreground. Little color theory trick there. So like a little hunter green, a little deep red, or not deep red, straight red, whatever.
That's just red.
Just red. It is kind of on the darker side though of like a bright red.
Yeah.
That's one thing like that I found, especially in my painting, is I would let my shadow, like I always think that shadows were cool and lights were warm. But I found that if I start working like warm tones into my shadows and really warm up my shadows, even in tattooing, but particularly in painting, that they just look a lot more like rich and deep. So a lot of times I'll put reds in shadows, or at least mix some red into it. And then also important is kind of connecting these shadow shapes. So like, since I have this kind of cast shadow, the light's coming from back there, but this cast shadow on the foreground of these trees, I'll also like take the edge of the curb and connect those shadow shapes. It's just like pleasing to the eye. I learned that from Dan Marshall.
Good trick.
Good trick. See how it like just making that like, if those shapes were completely separate, yeah, that would be fine. But like making that connection and then pulling this forward and connecting that shadow shape to wherever you can lock together shadow shapes.
It flows well.
Yeah, it just flows better. Dan Marshall, we have, if you don't know him, you should look him up as a painter. He's been a tattooer forever. In fact, he was part of the first crew at Last Rites at Paul Booth's shop. It was like Paul Booth and Dan Marshall and the Kern brothers, or maybe is it just Tim Kern? Maybe it was both Kerns. Anyways, he was part of that, which was a super famous shop back in the 90s. And they actually did the first ever tattoo like reality show, and it was way before the rest of them. They filmed pilots, but apparently, I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently it never aired, but they ended up filming like quite a few episodes of this show. It's kind of cool.
Melanie said she gave the raw gray wash that you talked about
Yeah.
a while ago and is super pleased with it.
Oh, nice. The whitewash stuff? Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
the raw gray wash.
Oh, the raw gray wash. Yeah, I've got the gray wash and the whitewash. I've been using the whitewash a lot more, but I like them. You know, I don't. You know, like I think everyone's making pretty good inks these days. Like, rarely do I use someone's ink and be like, oh, this is garbage. But I like raw. We actually have an affiliate code. I think if you want to try them and you put in, maybe it's just Fireside.
Probably Fireside.
Yeah, it's probably in the video description on. I think it's in our video descriptions on YouTube. Yeah, if you put in Fireside, I think it's good for 10% off or something like that. But yeah, I like them. I like, and I just like I like Lauren. I'll be tattooing at the Raw booth in someplace coming up. Where are we tattooing? What am I tattooing at the Raw booth? Is that in? That's not in Columbus. Oh no, you know what? It's Phoenix. Yeah, it's in Phoenix. Yeah, that's not until August, so that's a little ways away.
Yeah.
I will be tattooing and doing. Oh yeah. I'm doing a Find Your Style seminar at Space City, which is in Huntsville. It's kind of close to here. Huntsville's a super cool little town, or not? It's not a little town. It's pretty big. But I'll be. I'm tattooing there. I'm already booked for tattooing. But on that Sunday, it's Easter weekend. So on Easter Sunday, I'm teaching. So once you're done with the bunny and going to church and everything, you should come check out the seminar if you're anywhere in the Southeast. It's called Find Your Style, and it is. I'm honing it down every time I do it. I've done it several times now, and then I just did it as a 2-day workshop, and I've got whole new ideas on how I'm going to present it going forward. So
Awesome.
yeah, so that's Space City. That is in April. Then I will be in Columbus, tattooing in May at Health City Columbus, and then the other Health City in August. Yeah. So no one else said what they were tattooing? We just heard about the snake and the dream catcher?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Trying to, let me move down here next and use, let's see, I'm gonna change that shadow just slightly going down here. Oh, here's another color that I love that I've been using a lot. It's not a raw color. You can't even tell what it is. It looks like an oil slick, but it's called, dried blood. Is that right? What's this say right here? Dried blood.
Yep.
Yeah, it's called Dried Blood. It's by Eternal. It's part of their zombie set. The cool thing about that color is that it's kind of like a perfect black. It mixes out into basically any color that you want. So like you could use it if you were say you're doing like black to bright blue. You could go black to Dried Blood into blue, and it looks like it blends perfectly into blue. And then you could also do it black into red, black into green, and it blends right into any like local color, any deep kind of saturated color that you want. That's pretty cool. I don't even know what it's weird. I've talked about it before on some episodes, but like in the container, I think it looks a little bit like maroon or magenta. And on Russ Abbott's color wheel, it sits in the green spectrum. So I don't really know what color it is.
Kind of looks like when I was like video over top, it looked kind of brown.
Yeah, but can you see? I don't know how you can see it in there, but see how like I used green in this, and I used the Dried Blood in this. See how it looks kind of more red than green to me, but
Yeah.
it's a good color. I don't use it on its own a whole lot, but I use it blending out from other colors a lot. And the worst part about these live streams is you can't listen to music because YouTube will kick you off.
That is true.
Yeah.
YouTube is picky.
Yeah. We should have a live band in here on live stream days. How could they do anything about that?
They can't.
Right.
Don't think they can.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. I love these like loose liners or round shaders, whatever you want to call them. for this kind of work, man. They're like, don't beat up the skin very bad. They saturate quickly. They're great. What someone was asking earlier about the Numa, was that who was that? Paul? Who's name?
That was Dark Decay. I
Dark
do not know
Decay.
their name.
Okay. Just wondering what they're. I know Carson's put out some new, what do you call them, cams and stuff lately. I think I don't know how, he sent me some. I left all of my cams down in Texas. I was tattooing down there last month.
Mm-hmm.
I left the whole bag, so he sent me a new set of them, and I noticed he's got everything in like a 4.2 stroke now and a 3.6 stroke, but I haven't tried the 4.2s on most of those yet. I'm just wondering if anyone else, what cams people are using on the Numa, if they are using it.
Sean has a question. He says,
Alright.
"Hey Jake, awesome sleeve. I have a
Thanks.
question about clients exercising while healing a tattoo, specifically about sweat. Do sweat glands still work inside a healing tattoo? Will old sweat cause infection?"
No, I've never had any issues with anyone working out unless they're doing something that's like, like obviously if we end up working all in the bend of his arm and he's doing bicep curls tomorrow, the pushing and pulling of the skin, I've seen people have issues with that, just taking longer to heal. I've never seen any infections coming from working out.
I mean, I've never had an issue, and
The
I
only
lift
issue-
regularly.
The only thing to watch out for there, like you've tattooed a bunch of CrossFitters, so the bars being dirty and the bars touching that area can be a problem.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure, like, I cover the tattoo.
Yeah, if you get a tattoo that's gonna be rubbing on the
I wouldn't put a
the
barbell,
cloth.
right.
the cloth can irritate the skin. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a barbell over the area of the tattoo with or without clothes. But no, I've never had anyone, as long as you keep it clean, afterwards, go home and shower. I've never had anyone have an issue with that.
He said he usually tells people to wait 2 weeks before exercising,
out,
but they're usually bummed about it.
Yeah,
I would say be careful.
yeah.
More so, just make smart moves.
like, would you put your mouth on that?
Exactly.
If not, clean it.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt for him to take some time off, but I've never required it or anything. I've never had the only thing that I've ever seen cause an issue is like, if there's some type of friction against the actual tattoo for a long period of time and it irritates the skin, but as long as you keep it clean. I try not to scare clients too much when they ask. My aftercare instructions are always pretty simple. I feel like if I did a good job putting the tattoo in and you wash it, the only thing you're really going to affect is how long it takes to heal. I feel like it's going to heal fine eventually, no matter what. So I don't typically, I just hate to have people like worry about it too much.
Wind colors. There it goes. We're
Okay.
back.
Sorry if we
Sorry
guys
about
lost us.
that.
Yeah, what I was saying, if you guys didn't hear, is Faith is doing. She's deep into color theory as it applies to tattooing. She has like a color kind of system. She's working with raw pigments as well. And Faith, if you want to share how people can find out about it, I know we've talked about it some in the past on our morning drawing group, but you've done a lot of work on it since then. I know. So yeah, she's been working on color stuff too, and working with Lauren and Raw.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see here. So a lot of times, like when I get into these shadow sides of things, light's coming from back here forward. You can see all my cast shadows are going that way. Like on the shadow side of something, I don't want to go too light, but I also want to have some detail in the shadows. That's probably about right. So I'll kind of mix out. Yeah, I think once that settles in, that'll be about right. And as it gets out into the open area, I'll lighten it a little further. That's the one thing about getting too many lights on the shadow side of your object. It'll flatten stuff out if you're not careful. So I always take a little bit of time and make sure that I'm like, it's light enough to have some detail in the shadow shapes, but it's not like competing with the light shapes, which makes it look wonky. I know it's a lot of time to put it into this little area, but I need to. It's probably a little too light. So go a little deeper gray there. Let's see what we get right here. Ah, that's better. Watch this. I was going through and taking these courses, or just not really even taking them, just sitting through the courses in New Masters Academy, and there's this guy, Todorvich is his last name, Todorvich, something like that. Awesome painter, and he was doing some live painting from models, and watching him like mix his palette was mesmerizing. He mixes these kind of muddy versions of the primaries, basically, of like some kind of greenish, some kind of bluish, and some kind of reddish, that like he makes these piles of muddy color first, and then they kind of approximate what he thinks he's seeing, and then he starts to mix more intense colors out of those. So he starts with muddy colors and then works to more intense colors instead of the other way around. And super cool, man. He's really, really good. He was doing these little like color studies before he started the main painting, and they're so good. They were like better than any painting I've ever done. He just did them in 30 minutes, trying to warm up and get ready for or plan the color for his main painting. New Masters Academy. I'm about to go back to a mag. And you don't have to stream for too long. I just wanted, since we didn't get to do our main live stream, I just wanted to at least do something.
Yep.
So if people are tuning out, we can.
We have about 25 now. We'll go back up.
All right. That's cool. Yeah, I wish that our actual live stream had worked. We just couldn't get it to. Our streaming software just wouldn't connect to YouTube for some reason today. And I'm sure it's something that we're doing wrong, but I don't know what. We're also not using the same. Normally we do this on Scott's laptop, and maybe Scott was thinking maybe we had some type of firewall issue that was blocking it from
I'll see if I
popping
can find out some information about it.
up. Yeah.
When we're not trying to connect to it at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah, it'd be a better time. Okay. So let's see. Let me wipe it down. Switch over to a mag. You feeling okay?
Yep.
Arm going to sleep?
No.
Okay. All right, let's see what we have. Yeah, I think that's, so I'll start getting a little more intense. I'm gonna use some kind of straight grays in the street, I think. And then, but I'm gonna, let's see. I need to kind of figure out this transition color and how intense it is. I'm gonna do the street gray first and then see what I need right there. All right. So, and with them, I'm just gonna start with some straight grays and decide if I need to. I may end up hitting them with some of this blue light that's coming forward. I'm not sure, but first I'm just gonna use a gray. I used to never use opaque grays, and I've started using them more the last couple of years, just on their own. I don't really know why. I think because I bought a kit that had opaque gray in it. Used to, it seemed like a color. Like now, that's the one thing about, I was talking about raw pigments. They send a bunch of grays, and it's like warm gray 1, 2, 3, and 4, and cool gray 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're all like, there's like 10 different grays and 10 different blacks, and I still have no idea how to use that. But used to, I thought that all opaque grays were kind of silly because you could mix them, but gotten over I really like them to either neutralize colors a little bit or just on their own like this. Just a little blend it. I'll probably leave some it skin for now, like right in the center of the road. I do like to use skin tone wherever I can get away with it. That's something that it took me a long time to get used to doing, coming from the 90s and early 2000s era of tattooing. I thought if it wasn't packed full of color, the tattoo wasn't finished. So I would literally just like mix skin tones to go over skin tones because I thought it was important to have color through the entire tattoo. And I've learned, watching these tattoos heal over the years, that that's actually a pretty terrible idea. You do a lot better to leave open skin where you can, especially, a lot of times on the lighter areas, like my lightest lights, I'll leave as a skin tone nowadays, because they tend to look more like pure, less dingy than using some really pale color or even white. The skin will read as lighter than like a white that's packed in the skin over the long term. It doesn't look as cool for Instagram, but it looks better for real life.
9-3 asked, do you do your black and gray with opaques or wash?
For like this, if it's a black and gray like this that's under color, I'll just use a regular wash gray. If I'm doing like finished black and gray tattoos, then I might end up using a combination of like an actual opaque gray. Sometimes I've been using those white washes a lot more now. And gray washes. I'll use all of them in that. But if it's under, if it's gonna be color, if it's just gray, like this was just gray with the plan for color to be over the top of it, I just use straight gray washes. I don't want to introduce, a lot of white into something if I'm going to be putting dark over the top of it. It doesn't translate like as a one-to-one with painting, but typically in painting, your light colors are more opaque, so you would use more whites because they would reflect the light back off of the painting. And your dark colors are usually done with more transparent pigments because they absorb light. And so when you see, like, if you're like making a painting and you're doing the underpainting and you find yourself mixing white into any of the shadow shapes for any reason, stop and ask yourself why you're doing that. Because what you're doing is you're flattening out the opaque, or you're flattening out the shadow areas where it should be absorbing light. Even if it's just like if you're just barely mixing white into a brown or something like that, the white just tends to make it reflect light a lot more. I've learned that watching and taking workshops from some really awesome painters who get this crazy kind of luminescence, like old masters kind of look. And that's what I've found to be one of the like determining factors, is that they tend to use more transparent colors, transparent pigments in their shadows, and more opaque pigments in their lights. So even though that doesn't directly translate to tattoo pigments, I still use that idea. Sounds smart, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't my idea. Real life painters taught me that.
Good place to learn from.
Yeah. One thing that Jeff Hine told me that really stuck with me is, like, in paint, they'll rate like the opacity. So it's not like a pigment is either like 100% transparent or 100% opaque. It's like, it could be 50% and 20% or whatever. So what he'll do is, like, he'll actually look at the tubes and, like, instead of using medium to thin down a paint, he'll use the straight paint, but he'll use the transparent or opaque kind of version of it, depending on if he's working on the lighter shadow side. And if you don't know Jeff Hine, you should look him up because he's so good. Anything he's doing to his paintings, I want to do to mine too. So, all right, let's start trying to get into some of these greens. I'm just curious how green.
9 said, thank you, and I watched a course on NMA, portrait painting for beginners, and they mentioned the white flattening colors. Thanks again.
Nice. Yeah. That's what's about New Masters Academy. It's super cool. Yeah, I want to take more of them. The thing is like, I don't know how much I'm paying a month. I got like a deal for 6 months, and then it gets expensive. But you really have to kind of stick with it, or it will end up being kind of pricey if you're not actually going through and doing a course. If you're just paying the subscription and only looking at it occasionally, you'll find that it's kind of expensive. But So expensive, like, you know, $50 a month or something like that.
That's so expensive.
Yeah, enough where if you're not using it, you're like, why am I doing this? But yeah,
Ecos Guerra says amazing work as always. What do you think about the ink ban in Europe? Do you see a chance for it to happening in the States too? I'm from Europe and it's a bit weird right now.
Yeah, I've heard it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've hit on it. That's something that Lauren's really been in the middle of a lot with Raw, and so we've been talking about it some in our Monday morning show. I really don't know. I'm just going by what she says. But yeah, apparently there's some risk of it, you know, of it happening over here, and some of the manufacturers, I guess, are already kind of trying to plan for that and trying to. Doesn't World Famous maybe already have a line of inks that meet regulations for Europe? Yeah. We've been talking about it on that Monday show for a couple months now. I don't know. I'd just be making stuff up if I said anything about it. But I know that they had the ink manufacturers here had gotten together and were like trying to pay lobbyists to stand on Capitol Hill and make their case. I don't know. I wonder how that person said they were from Europe. I wonder how what they mean by it's weird right now. What kind of changes have happened? Can they replace most of their colors? Are they having to use more limited palette? Or let's see if we get an answer on that.
If we get an answer. Eric said, "Is that the Numa 4?"
No, this is the Scorpion by Ink Machines. The Numa 4, like I was saying earlier, whenever we first got on, it's hard for me to live stream with the Numa 4 because it's loud. It's like really, it's loud on the live stream. You can hear it louder than you can hear my voice. So I haven't been using it a whole lot.
He also said, when you use the Numa 4, are you using the 3.6 with the aluminum can?
I'm using the aluminum bearing arm. I've tried that brass one. It hits just too hard for me. You can see like the way that I work is, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I don't know. The brass hits a little bit hard for me. So I use that small aluminum bearing arm. And I've been using mostly, if I'm lining exclusively, which I love it for lining, it's my favorite pen style liner for sure. I've been using that, just the 20% that it comes with. If I'm coloring, filling solid color with it, or like sculpting up lines, like using a loose line, like a loose round shader or something to build big lines, like maybe doing something like this, I tend to use the 40%. Cam, and those are the only ones I've been using. I know he's got several other ones, and I just haven't been using any of the other ones. I have all of them, but yeah, I love the machine. I really love it as a liner. It's awesome, man. You can blast through lines with that thing. So what I'll do a lot of times is I'll set this one up for color and I'll set that one up to line, and I just kind of work back. I'll use both of them in the same tattoo. And then in the, only because I don't like to, if I had 2 or 3 of the Numas, I would probably use it. I just don't like to change the cam out mid tattoo. So what I've been doing is setting the Numa up to line, setting this up for solid color, and then the Bishop Wand I use as my gray shader.
Eric says, "I have 3, haha."
Yeah, I need to get it. Maybe I should just buy more of them. But I don't know. I like this. I've been using this Scorpion for years, and I do really like it a lot. So.
Echo says, "Right now, almost all of shades are labeled as painter inks, so tattooers can only use it for fake skin after 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, World Famous made a new line of inks for the regulations.
Yeah, I thought so.
I'm a bit worried to try them out.
Yeah, I would be too. I'm with you.
What did Europe ban specifically?
They banned several of the dry pigments that are used to make a lot of different colors. So there's like blue 14 or something is used in tons of colors, and they banned that. So it limited the number of colors. But I don't really know. I don't think, from what tattooers are saying, the research is super spotty. The ban seems to be for no good reason. But of course, that's also from the tattooer's standpoint. You know, I don't know what the EU has, what kind of proof they have that they're actually dangerous. But
I was like, now I want to know.
yeah. There's a ton of information out there. I just haven't been up on it. I should have spent more time researching it, but I just didn't. I know, like I said, well, there's the Coalition for Ink Safety, Coalition for Tattoo Safety. They spend a lot of time researching it. I know that Tramp from Eternal is, he was doing all types of podcasts and stuff talking about it whenever it first kind of came along. When the idea first came along, was introduced. And Lauren with Raw has been kind of on top of it too. So I figure with all those people on top of it, I'll just go with whatever they say.
Eric said, yet they allow tobacco. What a caring government.
Right. Yeah, it seems silly.
It does.
There's a podcast this dude was on the morning show. I think it's called That Tattoo Show, and it's I think that their show is out of Europe somewhere, and they did a whole kind of series on it. They were on our Tattoo Weekly, on an episode of Tattoo Weekly, and I know they've done several episodes on it. So if anyone's interested in learning more, I think it's called That Tattoo Show. I forget the dude's name, but he was super knowledgeable, really nice. So you can see back here, I'm muting, like everything is muted and there are no hard edges. It won't stay this way. I'm just trying to get as much atmosphere back here to start as I can, and really kind of push the foreground, so the foreground will have much bolder, stronger edges. And I will, once this is all settled in, I'm gonna pull the blue further up too. Once it's all settled in, I will come in with a liner and define it so it's not quite so soft. But I like to overshoot. I'll go super soft to begin with, and then super in focus, like in focus, out of focus, and then I'll come through and kind of like pull this back just enough where it doesn't look like a mess. I was talking in the workshop that I did a few days ago about that idea. The first time I ever saw anyone use the kind of focus blur idea in tattooing was Nick Baxter, and it was probably 2005 or 6 or something. He did this eagle with like a gas mask, like holding some poison like arrows. I forget what all it was super cool. But anyways, the foreground wing was like hyper focused, and then it had the eagle head, which was focused, and the background wing in the back was just like these washes of brown and gray, like really, really soft washes. And it was I just had never seen anything like it in my life. It was so awesome. And so I started trying to incorporate that immediately. And so what I found is the way that I incorporate it is typically to kind of overshoot it. So a lot of times I'll get it up too soft in my background. And then since most of my tattoos are multi-session, I can come back in the next session and kind of sculpt it, like pull it back, introduce a little bit of detail. But I love that effect. It was something I'd never even considered in tattooing back at the time.
It's been 53 minutes.
All right. Well, we can wrap it up. If anyone has any other kind of like questions or anything to offer, feel free. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap it and turn on some music, or maybe turn Family Guy back on. I'm gonna start pulling into. Yeah, I'm gonna start pulling into the foreground. We'll post a little something of this. And sorry we didn't get the actual live stream that we had set up, on time. But we'll figure out whatever
We'll figure it
that
out for
issue
next
was.
time.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. Thanks everybody.